Sunday had 8 games on, so we're going to talk about 8 games. We're going to give you the updates on Paul George and Anthony Davis, which came through. We got them, yeah. We got changes to the starting lineup in New Orleans. Does it matter? Ooh, we'll find out about that as well. Josh Giddey return, Kobe White return. That's all the action from Sunday that we're going to get. No, that's not true. That's actually not true. We'll talk about every part of the action from Sunday. And Michael Bolton, you'll sit next to me, correct?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and my personal style is corporate minimalism. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, but also the #1 sports podcast network. So thank you to you guys for helping get us there. The next goal is 100k subs for me here on YouTube. If you listen to audio, watch the video. We also right now, we are 50 away from 91k. So by the end of this show, hopefully we've hit 91k. Can I get 50 of you guys watching that aren't subscribed to subscribe? Let's hit 91. That would be sick. Shall we talk about the games? Well, we will. Let's actually just do a bit of a news look, because there is some big news on some players that are returning. And they're going to be important because Paul George. We talked about this on the daily preview show for Monday, saying, I think there's a chance that Georgie might be back. And he is. Not officially. They're listing him questionable, but it does appear that Paul George will be ready to go for Monday's game. Now, we can talk about how that impacts things, but also remember, it's one of those things that happens. Oubre out, George in. Now, George won't play the same minutes that Oubre played initially, but no one's losing out here. Because, again, you're losing Oubre's 34, George will come in and play 24 or whatever, and there's actually more minutes to go around. So we don't get that full impact immediately. So, one of the things we have to watch is what happens with Barlow and Jabari Walker and Trent Watford at the power forward spot, but it's going to be a pretty clean switch. George in, Oubre out, and then a couple of extra minutes get distributed in other spots. We also got the update in Dallas, and things are just going so well in Dallas, obviously. They're playing well. Their lineups make sense. Their roster construction makes complete sense. Their coach is a clown. Their GM is fired. He was also a clown. Their owners, clowns. All of them, terrible. And then we got the news that Anthony Davis, about a week ago, was like questionable. He wasn't like questionable. He was questionable. And then he was ruled out. And then he was questionable. And then he was ruled out. And then he was questionable. And then he was ruled out. Then he was questionable. Then he was ruled out. Then he was doubtful. And now it's reassessed in 7 to 10 days. Yeah, cool. That's great. Love that. Fantastic news. At least we know it's 7 to 10 days here for Davis again. I don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, they're being very cautious. I firmly believe that Davis will be traded this season. I'd say that it's hard to get over 50%. I'm over 50% that he gets traded this season. Where to? I've got no idea. And what comes back? No idea. No pre-stashes, nothing. You've got no idea. It's a waste of time to do that. But I don't think that Davis is playing on this team. Now, do I think that Davis will play again for Dallas? Yes. When? No idea. But like I said on one of the earlier shows today, it'd be incredibly funny to me if they hold him out until they trade him, because it will completely deflate the trade showcase legends out there. But 7 to 10 days. So, we'll talk more Dallas later because they're playing on Sunday. So we'll get more of a discussion about rotations and that sort of stuff. But Davis remains out. And then in Detroit, they've had their entire preseason projected starting 5 out. We're going to get at least one of them back, with Jalen Duren being probable. We probably get Cade Cunningham returning as well. He's questionable. Asad Thompson is also questionable. So we could get 3 guys in. So your Denise Jenkins, Paul Reeds, Javonte Greens, Rugged Ronnie Hollins, probably not Isaiah Stewart, honestly, because he'll still be in the mix with Toby out. But a lot of the guys that were doing some really massive work last week are not going to have those same opportunities, because the players they were replacing are going to be back. Now, if Cade is out, we still roll with Jenkins. But with Duren back, Reed's role is going to be reduced. So, and the only reason you would hold on to these Pistons guys is they're the only team that plays on the Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. And I think that with Harris out and maybe Thompson out, Reed can still get 32 minutes across 2 days. Not that much. Not as good as getting a starter getting 60 minutes combined, but it's something. So you could at least consider the Pistons there in that 2-day period to get something out of it. Because you don't want to drop a back-to-back player usually, unless certain parameters are met. Maybe. Is that a good way to phrase it? Maybe not. Who knows? I think what we can do now, though, like, we're not going to do waiver wire trends because we did a whole waiver wire show this morning. So let's just get into the games. First game, Clippers at Boston. This was one of the early games. I hit that and didn't even bring the thing up. I should have done this. I should have hit this. Now, I will let you know again, I did get my new computer. We had some teething issues. There was a bitrate mismatch with some of the audio stuff, which was causing some problems still, which I was trying to work around. I'm still not feeling 100% confident that everything is fixed and we're all good. But I'm just going to pop the headphones on for a crackle check because this game recap screen was one of the ones that was causing problems with some of the crackling stuff. But I think we're good. Also, ESPN box score fixed. They made those horrendous changes. And then what happened is the ESPN box score I use, there's a guy by the name of Glenn who's in Australia who created the ESPN enhanced box score extension for Google Chrome, which I've been using. And then when ESPN made a switch back on their box score, it screwed up his extension, which he had reformatted to make it look good. And then he's got onto it, he's worked at it, and we are back to the original box scores. Absolute W. Huge W from you, Glenn. Huge L from you, ESPN. But we are back to the original box scores, and that should make everyone here happy. It makes me happy. I know that. Let's talk about it. Clippers. We don't have an update on this yet, but Derek Jones hurt his knee, and yeah, that's not good, man. I would say that's a long-termer. Look, if he escapes the season ender, I'll be very, very pleasantly surprised. But it's going to be time off, I'm certain, for Derek Jones. So what that means is Kawhi's out, Beal's done, Jones could be done. Now, John Collins has been bad. Let's start with him. 30 minutes, 17 points. And if you stopped there, you'd go, what are you talking about, Josh? 17 points is pretty good. But he had 2 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. 0 free throws. He shot 62%, and that's good, but he's been actually terrible. What this does, though, is it just raises the floor. Because their power forward stocks is Batum? That Kobe Brown, who's also bad. So if Collins is floating on the wire, I would go and add him. Even though I don't love what we saw here, I'm going to take these off. I think we're good with the crackle. Even though I don't love what we saw here, because the floor is risen up, and that's good. Jim Harden was someone I had in the first round for this season, and there was some doubt on that. He is cooking. I don't think that this level quite holds, where he's a top 5 player, but 37, 7, and 8 with 5 threes. Somehow Unk has still got it in the most unbelievable way. 93 from the line on 15 attempts. He didn't shoot well from the field, but geez, that's crazy. And then Zubats, they're having to play him more because some of the guys they signed are completely washed. And pretty weird to see Brook Lopez just be washed after being solid last season. He's not totally washed, but they're leaning more into Zubats because they're just losing players. 16 and 12 for Zubats with a steal and a block. What we did get, though, of course, Ty Lue lied to us and told us the young players were going to play more minutes, and they proceeded to play fewer minutes. But what we also got here is Kobe Sanders bouncing back. Now, should you be rostering Kobe? In some leagues, yes. Sanders played 23 minutes. 11 and 6, 2 threes and a steal, which is bloody good. 57% shooting is high. But, it's the difference between being a good shooting night and a poor shooting night on 7 attempts is 1 make or miss. But given Beal is out, given Paul is unplayable, given Leonard is out, given Miller is hurt, hamstring again, given Jones is out, Sanders might have to play most nights. So if you're in the deeper, the 200-player deep leagues, we have to look at Kobe Sanders now. The other one we have to look at in standard formats is Bogdanovic, and the line's not good. And we don't just chase big lines. 11, 4, and 3 is nothing exciting. It's like a 14-team, 180-man league type line. It's whatever. It's fine. It's good. It's nice. It's pretty, whatever. But he played 35 minutes. And he had been out of the rotation. And he might not stick in the rotation, or he might see his role reduced, whatever. But he is the guy at the moment that is being relied upon. Not Chris Dunn, who played only 25 minutes and is not a must-roster player in any circumstance. That's not true. 16-teamers, sure. But Bogdanovic is the guy at the moment. 35 minutes and 11, 4, and 3. I like the volume. Getting that much playing time should enable him, majority of nights, to do enough to at least be in the 12-team discussion. So I don't mind an ad of him now that they've gone that way. But like we've said, this is flipped 3 times already. So it could go a completely different direction as soon as the next game, honestly. Now we can look at the Boston side of this. They went with the same starting group. And what was interesting is last game, Jordan Walsh started. and his minutes were lower than Josh Minot's coming off the bench. Not in this one. Walsh played 33. That's really intriguing. He is an unbelievably low usage player. He had 6 points on 5 shots. But what I liked here, obviously, his steals are through the roof. His block rate is like double what it was last season. He had 3 steals and a block here. He added 8 rebounds and 3 assists, things that he doesn't normally do. That's obviously very encouraging. The thing that I would just throw onto this is that, okay, we have seen Sam Hauser start 2 games at power forward. He hit, I think, 8 threes in those 2 games and then was benched. We have seen Hugo Gonzalez start. He was a DNP today. We have seen Josh Minot start at power forward and they went on a winning streak and then Minot got benched. We saw in the preseason them start Chris Boucher at power forward. So this is the 5th player that they've tried at the power forward spot. And it's very easy to look at this game and go 6, 8, and 3, 3 steals and a block. I love that for Walshy. It's holding. But what if they throw Luka Garza in there and go double big? What if they throw Baylor Shireman in there? What if Hauser comes back in, who played 7 minutes here? Like, what is going on with Sam Hauser? Sneaky Joe Mazzulla, I feel like he's just going to keep mixing and matching. So if you like the defensive stats of Jordan Walsh, like, and you've got Chris Dunn and you want to switch for Walsh, do it. That's okay. But I don't feel any level of good about the minutes or the role or his shooting or even, to be honest, the steal and block rates at this number. Good defender. Offensive liability. And at some point, that will annoy old mate Joe Mazzulla, I'm sure. Speaking of annoying, Anthony Simons.
Get that garbage out of here!
12 minutes, scoreless. Missed all 3 of his shots. Easiest drop of all time. Like, it's incredibly easy. He doesn't fit in. He might get traded somewhere else, but they don't want to play him. Very simple, very straightforward, easy drop. Don't even contemplate it, I don't think. Peyton Pritchard, he's back. 30 points, 8 threes, exhale. Derek White, 22, 7, and 9, 2 blocks, fantastic. And Jalen Brown, 33 and 12 with 2 steals on bad percentages. Cool, sick. 33 attempts is a lot, my guy. Settle down. The other thing to notice is Nemesh Keita, the Pastel Donata, had 33 minutes. 14 and 9 steal and block. And he's someone who's just rising and rising and rising. And we liked the flyer on him, but we weren't really sure. Were they going to play Gaza? Were they going to try Boucher, who was getting a lot of minutes in preseason? But Keita is rising up Mazzulla's ranks at the moment, and he feels like close to secure. Although we could have said the same thing about Sam Hauser in the preseason, and obviously not. But Keita is rising up, and he just remains an absolute, guaranteed, locked-in, must-roster player, which could also change, but he absolutely is. Just go grab him if he's available. Today's episode, it is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win. Not just on game day, but every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR and beating it again. You channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, so expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that is robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. The NBA season is rolling and you're going to want to get to watch games live because the atmosphere, the electricity in there is what you want to do. You want to watch your players. You can watch them on TV, but you can get there live and have a look at your favorite team, your fantasy players. Scout them in person if you need to, but buying tickets is a pain. Surprise fees, surging in prices, queues, all of that. Game Time helps. It gets rid of that stuff. It gives you the advantage and it's the hack for getting the tickets for NBA games fast, easy, and stress-free. They've got the zone deals, which are a game changer. You just pick an area that you want to sit in the arena, and Game Time will find the best value tickets for you. You can even get NBA tickets for under $25. You've got the views from your seat as well. You've got the all-in pricing, so you don't have to get surprised by extra fees. You can take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Are you ready for your daily dose of idiocy? Might have a couple of them today, to be honest, but the Sacramento Kings are up next. They went to travel to San Antonio to take on the San Antonio Spurs, and they made a change to their starting lineup. The man that was getting DNP'd just a week ago, Keon Ellis, moved into the starting lineup. You go, all right, progress, that's great. Keon Ellis has the ability to be a very good fantasy player. Hits threes, does it efficiently. Couple of assists, out of position blocks, very good steals guy. Right, that's all great. There's so much value in that sort of a player if the opportunity is there. And he started over Precious Achiuwa. They went back to DeMar DeRozan at power forward because, again, this team is constructed like someone who's never watched any sport in their life put it together. And then it's coached in a very similar way. So Keon Ellis started, and you go, all right, sick, let's go. Let's try to add him. 2 points in 15 minutes? What? No defensive stats? 1 of 3 shooting? I defy you to look at anything that's going on with this box score or anything that's happened over the last week in any of their games and make sense of it. Why was Domantas Sabonis barely playing? Played 30 minutes, struggling, and now it's like, all right, you get all the usage in the world and you play 36 minutes, Sabonis, because, yeah, cool, whatever. 17, 13, 5 with 3 steals for him, so it's a nice little bounce back. Why did Zach LaVine, who arguably is their best player, that's up to you how you want to describe that, play in 25 minutes? And if you tell me it's because of a lack of defense, that's fine. Why did Keon play 15 then? Because that's what he brings. So what's going on? The success of, or the way to handle this team was to fade all of them at draft time, which some of you did, some of you didn't. But I can't understand it. LaVine's not going to play 25 minutes tonight. He had 8, 2, and 3 here. Just a bad game, terrible game. DeRozan was dreadful last game. Played 39 minutes here. Of course he did. 27, 2, and 5 with 2 steals. Well, Dennis, I can't make a single shot Schroeder, played 35 minutes and had 22, 6, and 5 with 5 threes on 62%. Again, of course he did. Malik Monk was barely in the rotation last game. So what did he do? Just casually 28 minutes, 16, 2, and 1. So we just moved off from Alice and LaVine, and we got more Schroeder and Monk. For what reason? I don't know. None of it works. I think they've lost 6 straight games by double digits. What will work is getting rid of Vivek. The next thing is getting rid of Doug Christie, who is just not an NBA caliber coach. The next thing is getting rid of Scott Perry, who, despite him, in Kings fans giving the excuse of him inheriting problems, he created problems. He signed Schroeder, signed Westbrook, traded away Valanciunas to get in Šarić, who doesn't play. He did all those things. Brought in Precious Achiuwa. He did all those things. So it's really do I run to add Schroeder after this? Don't think so. I don't feel confident in it at all. Do I run to add Monk? I don't know. Maybe. I wish they would just start him and play him 34 minutes, and then I'd feel good about it, because it should just be him and Alice starting there. I just don't get it. Do you add Alice? Well, I would have, but now I see this, and I go, what do I do now? I don't think you could prioritize him, but he could easily play 24 minutes, have 6 steals in the next game. It just doesn't make sense. Achiuwa went from starting to playing 5 minutes, which is, again, why did you think that he was good enough to start? He never was, but why did you? What did you need to see? When we talk about it from a fantasy point of view, Westbrook was fine, but bad field goals, bad free throws, that's the Russell Westbrook autobiography. He's going to kill you in those categories. 14, 9, and 7 is fine. 3 threes, 2 steals, no worries. Still doesn't make a team better in my mind. And impacts everyone else. And then for category leagues in fantasy, it's a problem. So yeah, you can roster him, but it's definitely leaning more towards points. And usually I just wouldn't bother with him in a category format, given how he is at this point in his career. But I don't feel any level of goodness about Westbrook continuing to be a starter here. The team is almost impossible to figure out what they're going to do, because anything that makes any level of sense just doesn't happen. And it's really hard to always second guess things that seem logical, which is what they somehow do, and I don't know how that's possible. Let's talk about the Spurs side, because they did this, by the way, without Victor Wembanyama, and then Steph Castle left in the first half. So that's one of the number one things to look at, because you look at De'Aaron Fox and go, all right, he's ready to go. 20 shot attempts, 28 points, 11 assists, 55% shooting, let's go. You go, yeah, but Wemby wasn't there, and Castle wasn't there. I don't really know what to get. Castle, by the way, before he injured, bad. So, I did it. I said, all right, maybe I've just misjudged this guy. I still didn't like him as a prospect. I think my criticisms of him as a rookie were absolutely spot on and fair. And he came out and looked, shaky to begin, and then had a really solid 2-week stretch. Okay, maybe I'm a bit unfair on him. And in the last game, and then this game, he's not good again. So what do I now? Now he's hurt. 4 points, 25% shooting, 1 of 2 from the line, no rebounds, just invisible again. So is he now going to defer to Fox and be a spot up guy, because that is obviously not what he's good at? We're still holding Steph Castle, obviously, but is he just going to nosedive completely from where it was? And is Fox now the primary guy once again? I don't know. What I do know is that having Luke Cornet on your roster is very good. 13 and 11, 28 minutes, 3 blocks, 100% shooting. He gets like 20 minutes or so when Wemby plays, but Wemby might miss the next game too. So just grab Cornet and go from there. Having no Wemby, having no Castle meant that we got more out of Devin Vassell. 34 minutes for Vassell, 16 with 8 assists and 2 steals. So if you were considering dropping him, and you had every right to, the absence of Castle keeps him there. And then we also got, oh my God, a performance from the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Barnes had 20 points. He did have 3 threes and 2 steals as well. I still don't care. Maybe if Castle's out in the next game, I'd stream him in. Maybe. Julian Champagny was better with these guys out, but not enough to matter for most people. And we actually got more out of old mate Jeremy Sohan. 11, 5, and 2 in 22 minutes. But I think he had most of those stats in about the first 6 minutes that he played. And we do not need to roster him in any 12s. Same with Keldon Johnson. The horse had 14 and 12. Of course, again, no Wemby, and then half a Castle. And then we'll see how that impacts. And I still don't fully get the Castle-Fox dynamics yet. For some reason, those 2 games have taken a long time to go through. We'll come back and talk about the other 6 games, including Brooklyn getting their second win of the season over the Washington Wizards, with some little bits and pieces to talk about in that game. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game with FanDuel, you can go in there and bet live. You could have your initial take on the game and bet it as the game's going. You can also bet on who's going to score next. You can bet on spreads in the second half to see, do you think it's going to be a blowout? Think it's going to tighten up a little bit? Put all that together. Plus, you can combine all those live insights that you have into a same game parlay to increase your chances of a bigger payout. It keeps you on your toes. It puts your knowledge to the test. It enables you to test. Do I know what I'm talking about by watching these games? Yeah, probably you do. Get in there and try it. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, so we've done those first 2 games. Now we can take you into the Brooklyn Nets, getting the win over the Wizards, 129-106. The Nets trotted out the same starting lineup, and they are a team that is bad. Very, very bad. But there's got so many guys of a similar level on this team that it's just going to be a lot of frustrations. We'll talk about the good first. Michael Ponder Jr., the poop cookie. 34 minutes, 34 points, 34 podcast appearances, 3 threes, 9 rebounds, and what is this that I'm seeing? 7 assists, 2 games in a row of over 5 assists, and 9 free throw attempts. This is the perfect one that I will forever reference, so I'm so sorry about that. Talking about context. Because the amount of times that I had to discuss or get into arguments or defend positions, whatever, talking about Cam Johnson versus Michael Porter, where people referenced their stats from last season. Like, look, they average 18, 5, and 3, and Johnson makes way less money. Like, yeah, but that's because of the context. Porter's a way better player. And when he goes to a team like this, he is going to cook. And Johnson is going to do way less than Porter did in Denver because he is a worse player. Context in the NBA, hierarchies, pecking orders. It's so important. It's so, this is the perfect illustration. 1-for-1 swaps, position for position swaps. Porter is playing unbelievably well. Well, I thought he would be good. Not this good, but I thought he'd be good. But I'm still incredibly worried about his availability in your fantasy playoffs. Now, you've got to sort of time it, though. You can sell high now if you want. If anyone is dumb enough to give you a top 40 player, you do it immediately. But you have to understand, trading away Michael Porter Jr., you will almost certainly lose. How long do you want to, lose in the short to intermediate term? Because we're 10, 12 weeks away from fantasy playoffs. Can you take losses for 12 weeks for something that A, maybe doesn't happen, maybe he plays through, or B, maybe the guy you trade for gets injured and doesn't play in the playoffs anyway. So you've got to find the right time to do it. But I'd still always be trying to do it because I do not believe that Porter will be doing this at the end of the season. Nick Claxton also, just unbelievable stuff. 17, 9, and 7 with 4 blocks. I never thought that Nick Claxton would be dishing these assists. Now, to be unfair to me, he flashed some of this stuff at Georgia. He flashed a little bit of this stuff early in his career, a little bit of taking the ball up the court and a few little dribble moves, but not like this. He has turned his game around and he hits free throws now as well, apparently. He's been unbelievably good, and I just did not get that at all. I missed on it completely. What about Jaeger Dielman, the Blue Jean baby, played 20 minutes, had 5 points. He did have 5 assists. Bielsa only took 5 shots, and he just didn't play much. And after it looked like he was just steadily improving, that is 2 absolute stinkers in a row. We understand rookie point guards are bad. We understand rookie point guards start out this season horribly. We also, or I not understand, but I believe that this guy's not very good as a general prospect and never would have picked him in this spot. So my grace for him as a prospect is low, because as we wait for something to turn around, my baseline position is maybe it doesn't turn around. Maybe he's never good enough to be a fantasy contributor this season. So I'd actually be okay. We take the fly. It was improving. That's interesting. But it's regressed. The coach is not happy. If you wanted to drop, you can drop. I think also Noah Clowney's line deserves some focus. He missed all 4 of his free throws. Horrendous. That hurts you a lot. But he's been like an 80% plus free throw shooter for 2 seasons now. It's just a bad game. What I am encouraged by, another 30 minutes, 4 threes, 12 points, and a steal and a block. I will hold him, even though I know you guys, a lot of people don't agree with that. But I'm seeing enough to hold him for now. Tyrese Martin was the guard that stepped up with, don't call him the step guard, call him the guard that stepped up. 20 points, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Huge game. But we've also seen this before. He started some games and then disappeared out of the rotation and is back in again. I don't think we should be adding him, but he could easily have a run of 2 or 3 games that are solid. And the same goes for Zaire Williams, whose last 2 games have been great. 30 minutes, 13 and 4 with 2 threes. But look at the game before that, where he played 12 minutes. Not reliable. Not much else going on in this one here. Jalen Wilson is back out of the rotation now, and 3 of their first-round picks, Nolan Traore, Danny Wolf, and Ben Saraf, are still in the G League. So you're not... all that sounds incredibly negative, because it is, but they won. They smashed the Wizards. So I'm being negative about these things, because we're talking more longer term, but they won this game. Let's talk about the Wizards. Just a brutally bad game. A very bad game. Bilal Coulibaly returned, and that meant that Trey Johnson moved to the bench, and that means if you needed a little push, you can drop him.
Get that garbage out of here!
What do you do with Bilal? 28 minutes? Start with a good 2 steals and 2 blocks. Bloody lovely. Love it. Fantastic. 6 points, 3 rebounds. Not good. 33% shooting. Terrible. Has Bilal showed any improvement from last season so far? In limited games, obviously. Not really yet, I don't think. I maintain the position that in points leagues, I don't think you need to worry with Bilal. In a 150 deep points league, I don't think he's a must. And in category leagues, it's very specific. He will generate defensive stats. I feel good about saying that. But will you get enough other stuff? I don't know. I don't know what to make of CJ. 17, 2 and 3, 2 steals and 3 threes. Good game. But you'll just throw an absolute stinker in the next game or 2. You probably can hold him, but I'm not going to hold myself to that. While it was also great to get Keyshawn George having a big game. Now, of course, foul trouble was his usual standard, but he ended up with 32 minutes, 29, 6 and 5 and 5 threes. Great game. It was a terrible game from Alex Sarr, but you know what? Nearly every one of his games so far this season has been awesome. Sarr had foul trouble. Did he end up fouling out? He did. Played 23 minutes. I think he had 4 fouls in the first half and 5 fouls 3 minutes into the second half or something like that. He ended up with 9 and 3, shot poorly, terrible game. You don't want terrible games ever, but I'll give him a pass at this stage. Middleton had 27 minutes, which hasn't been getting that much playing time. He had 14 to 5. Okay, whatever. Streamable, not someone I'd be rushing to grab though. Now let's go on to a very, very confusing game. The Golden State Warriors and the New Orleans Pelicans. 124 Golden State, 106 New Orleans. So we'll start on the Golden State side. They do go in with that same starting lineup for the foreseeable future, and that includes Moses Moody in the starting group. Now, Moody played 33 minutes, and he had a line that is going to knock your socks off. 32 points, 8 triples, 3 steals, 1 block on 63%. I will say this, though. He had 21 points in the first quarter on 7 of 8 3-point shooting. 7, yeah. And then he hit 1 3 for the rest of the game with 11 points. So, unbelievably good. Take out a crazy quarter, and it's unbelievably mid. It's not good. And he has shown this through the season. He has these crazy games on absolute outlier shooting. Now, what is good about this is you get steals and blocks as well from him. His steal rate is he's playing really well. I like what he's doing. But I don't feel confident with his minutes. And there's so much up and down in production, plus all of the other guys that are going to be in the mix for those minutes. If you wanted to grab him, I get it, right? It makes sense. Look, these games are ridiculously good. I just have a level of skepticism about how he is able to maintain like production like this, because it all comes in like, wow, that is just an unbelievable quarter. And then what else did you do? And that always scares me. Butler had 18, 3, and 10 with 3 steals. Cool. Good for you, Jim. That's a nice game. The assists are really solid. If you do worry about the turnovers, the 6 of those weren't good. Draymond just cannot shoot, finish, do anything anymore. 8 points on 23%. Now, he did have 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block, so at least covered up there. But he is definitely looking like a guy you don't need to roster in 12s at this point. Unfortunately for you guys watching this, unfortunately for you guys, I have to be honest. Steph Curry. Yeah. Steph played 28 minutes for 9 points. He shot 18%. He had 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Now, of course, I'm joking, but I'm also sort of not. But I am joking. He's not washed. He just turned in 2 unbelievable performances against the Spurs. But this is what happens when your legends, your stars, get older. They can still do it. And Steph does still do it. And he's been awesome this season. But in the past, you never would have got this from Steph. And these duds, which is, I think, 2 really bad performances in the last 5 games. I think, admittedly, one was while he was coming back from illness. That they happen a little bit more often. Again, not washed. Complete joke. Complete joke. Not washed. But that is where you see the edge get lost. Is that you never would have gotten games before like this. But you get them a little bit more frequently now. Don't have to do anything with it, but it happens. Big Willie Dick continues to start 9 and 7. You do not bother with him in 130s or 150s or 175s. Maybe he's a top 200 player, maybe. But even though he's starting, he's not playing starters minutes. While Pajemski had 19 points, that's really good. 3 rebounds, 3 assists is okay. To me, he's very fringy. He's not a must in 12s. You can have him, but you don't have to have him. There's too many players that competition, but like, Moody's got the minutes here, but might not get him in the next one. There's just a lot happening with a lot of those players that makes it tough to feel like you can rely upon them. On the Pelicans side, first game under James Borrego after Bill Green was fired, and he made the change. Derek Queen started. Great, let's go. And he proceeded to play the fewest minutes that he's played in like 2 weeks. All right, what do I make of that? I honestly don't know. I think he had 1 point up until midway through the third quarter. The line is okay. 9, 7, and 6 with 2 blocks. 50 from the field, 5 of 6 from the line. They're all good. That's solid numbers, and we do have to be rostering him. But the fact that he started and played 25 minutes should make you go, oh no. Ooh, let's see what happens, because Zion didn't play. Now, Zion might play tomorrow. And then we get a real indication of how they're going to utilize these guys. So while it's great that he started, it's not the be-all and end-all of everything. Jeremiah Fears' game was annoying. He got some early fouls, which did limit him, but ended up with 25 minutes, 17 and 5. His assists have disappeared completely. High usage, though, which will get impacted when Zion and then Poole return. And I do think you roster him, but he's very much a back-end guy. And I think we've got to do this, honestly. Herb Jones.
Get that garbage out of here!
Without a question in a points league. Done. See ya. 6 points, 29 minutes. He had 2 steals. In a category league, he's looking like Chris Dunn. Now, he is better than Chris Dunn, but I'm not sure that you need to hold. Murphy had 20 and 8 with 4 steals. Good work from Ken. And what the other change we got in the rotation here was, well, Jose Alvarado scored 18, which is a little bit weird, but that's a deeper league one. But we got more of Carlo Makovic. I think Makovic is a solid NBA backup center. And he just was getting buried behind the mastermind signings of Kevon Looney and DeAndre Jordan by Joe Dumas. Looney, by the way, had been starting and out of the rotation now. Sick. What a signing. Unbelievable stuff from Dumas. Makovic played 20 minutes. He had 4 and 2 with 3 assists and 2 steals. Just something to monitor for deeper leagues. And then Yves Misi played 25 off the bench. Do not bother adding him. 8 and 7, steal and a block. Yeah. Good stuff. Now we go to an overtime game. The Orlando Magic, they lose to the Rockets, 113-117. I know I say this all the time, but I'll say it again. The end of games is a joke. You don't need timeouts. I'm so sorry. My first change in the NBA, start on time. But secondly, no timeouts. You don't need them. You don't need him. Get rid of him. Done. Don't even talk to me about the fouling. The fouling is so... If it's a deliberate foul, shots and the ball. It's literally in the rules. If you were making a foul that is deliberate and not in the act of playing, like, it's that this end of a game is insane. The way it's stretched out and tight. Like, you don't need these timeouts. You just ruin the experience. I know there'll be someone here, it's actually just part of the game. That's just the way the game's played. Doesn't have to be, though. Doesn't have to be. You can make it better. Very easily. I just don't understand this insistence on making the end of, which, like, I would say 80% of people, one of the complaints people have is, end of the game. 10 seconds goes for 20 minutes. Yeah, fix it. It's ridiculous. It's insane that we have this. Let's talk about the actual game, though. Des Bane. No Paulo Banchero, obviously. No Jalen Suggs in this one either. So Mr. Black was able to start. We'll talk about him in a sec. But Desi Bane, 26, 4-4, 2-3, steal and a block. Bane struggled to fit in, obviously, in Orlando. Part of the reason I was down on Bane in Orlando this season was like, you are going to be the third banana, and that is not what you've been in the past, so I just don't think you're going to do what you're going to do. But he's not anymore, so the numbers are up, and they'll probably go back down later on. Enjoy what you're getting. Wendell Carter Jr. continues to have, like, just a really good season. 15-6, 2 threes, 1 steal, and where did 4 blocks come from, my guy? Maintain that you should be rostering him. He's a 12-team league guy. Wagner had 29, 5-4 on really rough shooting stuff. And let's talk about Mr. Black, because Anthony Black played 36 minutes. He had 18, 3-4 with a 1-1. That is a very good game. Is it because Paolo is out? Is it because Suggs is out? Is it a combination? Well, we saw the last game with Paolo out and Suggs playing, and he wasn't like this. He's been better this season. Mr. Black. Oh, that was a terrible one. Mr. Black. He's been terrible. He's been inconsistent, but more consistent this season. I find it hard to just get fully on board. And the guy that really benefited in the first game without Banchero was Tristan Da Silva. And I said, I want to see what happens in a game where he doesn't shoot the lights out. We didn't quite get that because he still hit 50% from the field. But 13-6 with 2 threes is fine. He added 3 steals and a block to make it good. Is he someone that we feel like is going to be a must roster guy? I don't quite feel that. But he's going to start. Minutes are strong, and that's okay. If you want to add him, just understand you're going to focus more, I think, on the points and threes. Whatever else you get is a bit of a bonus. John Isaac, who, again, for some reason started that second half when Paolo got hurt, played 14 minutes, 3 points, 6 rebounds, and we didn't get much more going on. Tyus Jones feels completely washed. And there's not much more to really talk about here. We got a larger role from Jet Howard, and that doesn't really matter for most of us. Let's talk about the Houston side of things, because you'll be shocked to know that me, the person who has a show and talks as part of my job, has some things to say about the Houston side of things. Because, I try to keep a finger on the pulse of fantasy. Obviously, it's my job. And I have my own teams, but that's not what I focus on. That's not what I care about. I care about trying to keep an understanding of the league and all that stuff in general. And we do that through multiple ways. A lot of complaining about Amen Thompson today. And, okay, let's talk about what Amen Thompson did. 39 minutes, 12-10. No defensive stats. 31% shooting. Unequivocally bad. Not good. Not dreadful, but not good. He also somehow was 4-4 from the line. But the idea that, like, he's completely ruined and there's no hope. In the 6 games prior to today, he averaged 20 points, over 5 rebounds, over 5 assists, 1.8 steals, 0.8 blocks, on 79% from the line and 50% from the field. Which is bloody good. Is it top 20 good? Not quite there. We hope for a little bit more. And yeah, he has not lived up to very lofty standards. But he hasn't been terrible. This is just not a good game. Reed Shepherd, only 29 minutes, despite overtime and no Tari Eason. Still rostering him, obviously, 16-7 with 2 threes, but they've got a very light week. 2 games coming up this week. I would hold him, though. Same with Jabari Smith, who had 10-10, but Jabari is moving towards a drop in my mind. I'm still holding, but moving towards a drop. Durant, 35, 5-6, who started the season slow. He was great here. And Şengün took 31 shot attempts. Didn't go in, only 36% of them, and weirdly, only one. Remember the first game we took like 10 threes or something? He took 1 3 out of 31 shots here. Seems like a different distribution of shot attempts. I don't really know. That first game just feels like fake. Like, what was that? 30 and 13 with 8 assists and 2 blocks, but he was 8 of 10 from the line. The guy that stepped into a larger role with Eason out for whatever reason was Aaron Holiday. Went from 0 minutes to 16 minutes, 10 points with 2 threes for him, while Okogie was really bad. I don't understand the fascination with him. What are we doing? 1 point, 2 steals. He doesn't make sense to me. So there's still avenues here for Shepherd to play more. It's going to require Udoka saying maybe don't go with Steven Adams and Josh Okogie as our 5th starter. And I don't know that he does that. But the Okogie stuff just doesn't make sense. And what I think will probably happen is Okogie will stay there, Dorian Finney-Smith will come back, and Finney-Smith will start. And it will continue to make no sense, really, whatsoever. But that's what I think will probably end up happening, unfortunately. The good thing about the timeouts and the fouls and all that is it only impacted one game. Oh, wait a minute. Sources are telling me that the last 4 games of the night were plagued by this nonsense. Yeah, great. Sick. Love it. Love it. Absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about Portland and Dallas. A game that, of course, went to overtime and, yeah, we had fouls and timeouts. The Mavericks win at 138-133. Portland was without Drew Holiday, so they had 0 point guards. Roster construction masterclass. Scoot is their point guard. He is out. Oh, sorry. He's one of their guards. Who knows if he's going to be a starter or not. Drew is a guy that hasn't really played point guard much the last couple of years, and he's been cooking, and he's out, and they have literally nobody. So Shaedon Sharpe, well, I guess you could say Shaedon Sharpe or Denny Avdia was the starting point guard. Let's start with Denny, who played 39 minutes and fouled out. He had 29, 6, and 7 with 2 blocks. And when you get a 6-7, it's always a W. But that's another really good game from Denny. He has been ridiculously good. And I think I ended up probably under projecting him this season. I think I was very comfortably taking him in the round 3 area. But he's been better than that. And he just continues to play well. Jeremy Grant moved into the starting lineup, replacing Drew Holiday, and we are getting back to, I don't know that we rostered Jeremy Grant territory. And you'll say that's stupid, Josh. He had 26 points. He did. That's true. He played 39 minutes in an overtime game without Drew and without Scoot, and he still shot 35% from the field, and he had no defensive stats with only 2 assists. He has trended down in a very big way. Over the last 2 weeks, he's outside the top 150. He's moved to outside the top 100 over the course of the season. After that really red-hot, efficient start from Grant, it's just back to the same old nonsense, which is just not good enough for most of us in most situations. Just doing a crackle check, just making sure that it's all going okay. Oh, we're good. So yeah, we'll hold Grant for now, but when guys come back, I don't think that's going to be the case. Shaedon Sharpe took 1 million shots, 32 of them in fact. 11 free throws as well. That's a huge usage. He had 36, 4, and 6 with 3 threes. He just was inefficient. But the minutes restriction appears over, and we're getting a lot of volume. And it was also the best Donovan Clingan game we've got in a while. 16-11 with 2 blocks. You hope for it probably a little bit more, even because it is an overtime game, but it wasn't in the closing lineup, and that's going to be the way that Thiago Splitter handles this, and that's worrying. You should also be a little concerned about what Tamani Kamara's doing. Now, 11 and 10 is obviously not great. It's fine. But I want more than this, obviously. I am holding him. I do believe that the shooting will improve, but the usage has been really bad, and it has not been a good start. 32 minutes for Chris Murray. With those absences, he gave us 3 steals. He took 2 shots. I don't think we need to worry about Chris in the vast majority of leagues. What we can now do is talk about the Dallas Jason Kids. And they did go with the same starting lineup, so D'Angelo Russell did not replace Brandon Williams. Let's take a look at how those two started, or how they played the game. 22 minutes for Russell, 12 points, 7 assists, 36%. If you added Russell, I don't think you'd be disappointed with that line. I wouldn't have added him, because I'm just done with him. And this is a personal thing. I'm done. I'm done trying to figure out if he's going to be good or bad. I think he's bad, but sometimes he'll go on hot streaks and coaches will lean into him. I don't care. I'm out. I'm holding Brandon Williams. The game from Williams is fine. It's not great, but it's good enough for me. 15, 3, and 6, 50% shooting, 5 of 6 from the line, 1 steal. Happy with that. Happy to hold on. Cooper Flagg had 21 and 8. He had 5 assists. He had 1 steal. He had 2 blocks. And honestly, I think you should be disappointed. I have this guy. I hold him very highly. I think the upside is through the roof. And it's frustrating to watch him just sit there at times and not touch the ball. There is way more that gets better from here for Flagg. I'd consider even a game like this buy low. Honestly, I would try it. Now we're in a situation where Derek Lively was on a minutes limit, played 12 minutes. He had 2 points. He had 2 blocks. It's very hard for me to look at Lively and say that's a must roster player. He's coming off a knee sprain. I don't know if he even plays tomorrow. Daniel Gafford played 31 minutes. He had 20 and 6 with 3 blocks. He shot his thing that he does, 80 from the line, 75 from the field. These are great numbers. He also limped to the bench at the end of the game. Will he play tomorrow? Anthony Davis won't play tomorrow. So what's it going to be? Dwight Powell and Musa Cisse? Or do they start PJ at center and start Najee Marshall? It could be a very weird lineup tomorrow for Dallas. As for Najee, we talked about him on the waiver wire show, talking about, hey, like when PJ comes back, I don't know that he's going to be useful. 9 points, 27 minutes. He had 2 steals. He had 9 rebounds, but that's not a 12-team guy. Now you hold because it's a back-to-back, and you hold because centers could be out tomorrow. But he's good. He just needs a bunch of blokes out of the way. Max Christie did enough. 14, 4, and 4. Like my confidence in Christie rises because we've got an AD timetable. I didn't know what they would do. Would they force AD to play at the power forward position again, which means PJ at the 3 and Flag at the 2, meaning Christie to the bench? We don't have to worry about that for 7 to 10 days now. So we can have a bit more confidence in what Christie's floor value is. As for PJ, 21 and 7, 5 threes, bad shooting. This is the PJ Washington experience. He is a must-roster player. And then we had 26 from Clay, who's playing better, 19 points and 5 threes. I don't care. From a deeper league, I can stream it for threes, but honestly, that's it. As for Cisse, 7 minutes, 5 points, 1 block. I bring him up only because you might not have Gafford, Davis, and Lively tomorrow. You will still have Dwight Powell, but Cisse is playing ahead of Dwight Powell. Whether Jason Kidd will decide that he wants to start him or not, I don't know, but it is a possibility. Second last game, the Atlanta Hawks get a close one over the Suns, 124-122. Frustratingly, no Kristaps Porzingis, again, with knee soreness. Wasn't a back-to-back, so you obviously are always going to be worried about when things like that pop up for Porzingis. Hopefully, it's not anything, but it happened. But that meant we got a second consecutive start from Onyeka Okongwu. And Okongwu was dominant again. 27, 4, and 5, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 threes. People were very hesitant to draft Onyeka Okongwu at pick like 80, 90. He's cooking. Now, obviously not as good when Porzingis plays, but he is just a very good player. And the numbers are ridiculous. So are they for Jalen Johnson, who had 25, 10, and 7 with 2 threes and is a first-round player. He's been ludicrous. Another one of those ones that there was some pushback, and ESPN had him ranked outside the top 50, I'm pretty sure, heading into the season, of him being a second-round guy. Easily doing that. It was also a much better game from Dyson Daniels. So he's not taking any shots. He only had 11 points. But 7 boards, 12 assists, and 3 steals. You're getting a nice little boost here from Dyson, who was terrible when Trey was around. And Alexander Walker was also good and remains a must-roster player, 26, 3, and 4 with 2 steals. What we wanted to check was what would happen when Vic Krejci did not shoot 75% from 3. And the answer is 7 points in 22 minutes with 3 rebounds and 2 assists. And that is why. To me, like, yes, if you added Vic Krejci after the first game, you got insane production. Well done. Good luck to you. But I will always in these scenarios, and that's why you can second guess things that I do and make your own calls on it, because I like to tell you what I do. My process will stick. If someone shoots 88% from 3, I'm not going to go, yep, got to have him because he'll do that again. Yep, what a hot player. I'll go, yeah, but like really? I'm going to waste my time on that because I know it's going to fall off. I know it won't stick. Might hold 1 game, might hold 3. So again, I like to focus on opportunities opened up by injuries, and then how sustainable is it game to game, and is there long-term appeal in it? And you will lose a lot in the short term. You will lose out because sometimes the hot streak goes 2 games and a coach gives extra 5 minutes because they were hot the last game. But long term, I think that process yields better results. Not much else going on here. The Spiral is losing a ton of minutes. Luke Kennard, 0 points in 12 minutes for him as Krejci. That's fair. He is taking that role, Krejci. And honestly, the other thing to look at here is Ricochet had a really hard fall late in the game, and he might miss time. So maybe that does open things up for Krejci. Because if Krejci does start, which I don't know that he will, but if Krejci does start, then yeah, I would be interested in using him. But it's a very different story to playing 20 bench minutes to being a starter with Ricochet injured. And that's what we could get here. But also remember, Porzingis was out. And we'll see whether he returns. Could they actually go super big? Porzingis, Okongwu, Johnson? I don't think they will, but I'd be intrigued. I'd be very intrigued. The Phoenix side of the game, we had, obviously, Grayson Allen did not play. And that meant that Ryan Dunn moved into the starting lineup. Mark Williams also returned while BDNR moved to the bench. But Dylan Brooks is just on an absolute heater of all heaters. He is a must-roster player. I did not think he'd be this player. 34 and 6 with 3 threes and 3 steals. Took 25 shots. It's too many, clearly, but he was great. We also got 32 minutes of Colin Gillespie. Now, he had not been trending that way. 15, 9, and 8 with 2 steals. Now, this is likely just a replacement with Allen out. And then, when Allen is back, you could move on from Gillespie. But that was good. Jordan Goodwin again contributed, 14, 6, and 2. He has been solid, and it was a decent enough game from Dunn with 12 points, 2 threes, and 2 steals. The problem I'll say with Ryan Dunn is, even in a scenario here with Jalen Green and Grayson Allen out, he still only played 24 minutes and will probably be back on the bench in the next one. Not the greatest Mark Williams game. In fact, it was not a good one at all. 8 and 4 for him, but that's okay. And it was a terrible one from Royce O'Neal. 3.6 rebounds, 11% shooting. He remains a must-roster player. I would still have Royce over Dunn. I would still have Royce over Gillespie, honestly. Obviously, Allen over all of them, and Brooks over those guys as well. And then, in another treat for those of you who love watching coaches talk, we had the Bulls and the Jazz go to overtime. Double overtime, actually. And Utah gets the win. Good. Suck it, Chicago. You deserve it. 150-147 was the final score. Josh Giddey and Kobe White both returned. Giddey started. Trey Jones was out of this game. You can drop Trey Jones. I'm pretty confident in that. Kobe White came off the bench. He had a minutes limit of 24 in this game as he comes off the torn calf, which has cost him the first 4 weeks of the season, which he ended injured in the preseason. So he had a minutes limit of 24 minutes. So Kobe White scored 27 points in 30 minutes. 30. I said 30 because they couldn't get past the Jazz, so they played him past his minutes limit. I honestly hope nothing bad happens, and I think he's okay. No chance he plays tomorrow, by the way. But they're idiots. 27, 4, and 8 for White in 30 minutes. He was 14 of 14 from the line. 36% shooting is rough, but who cares? Like, overall, he's back, and those numbers are great. Giddey, also back. 26, 12, 13, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 2 threes. That is, in fact, Josh Giddey. Richie Beno. Well done. Good to have you back. And then the GOAT, Nick Vucevic, he was good. 21 and 13 with 3 threes and just chipped in 3 blocks. Now this is just a totally reasonable line for Vuce, who'd been dreadful after being very good. It's good stuff. Buzelis, only 33 minutes. I just want him to play a little bit more. Now he did foul out in the end, but 18 and 6, 2 blocks, 2 threes, still like the line. And Dosunmu had 18 points in his 26 minutes. We got big minutes from Herter and big minutes from Okoro. They didn't really do anything. We had 40 minutes from Okoro for 5 points with a steal and a block, and Herter had 6 with 8 rebounds in 33 minutes with a steal and a block. Herter is fine to have, especially considering they're playing tomorrow, and you're probably not going to have White, and you might not have Giddey. I think Giddey plays. I don't think White plays. The sprained ankle ones on back-to-backs are usually okay. The problem usually is more with muscle strains and returning from those, that the risk increases of re-injury on back-to-back. So I think Giddey will be okay. White, touch and go. Not really. Although Giddey may not play, given he played, 42 minutes here in his return. On to the Utah side of this game. Lauri Markkanen was ridiculously good, 47 and 7 with 6 threes, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Elite efficiency. And Keontae George hits the game winner. He had 34, 2 and 6, 4 steals and 3 threes in 44 minutes. Again, he will have some bad games, but he is established. I'm fairly certain he is established as their starting point guard, and I'm not worried about Isaiah Collier coming in. Nurkic had just an incredibly weird game. Didn't attempt a free throw, so that's probably good, and he had 4 points. That's bad. But 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Okay, man. I think he is a must-roster player. And then Isaiah Collier played a lot of minutes, 37 minutes. Played alongside Keontae George as well. He was fine. That's unfair. He was good. 16, 4 and 9 with 2 steals. Rough from the line. He is providing some value, and while the Jazz and their schedules are good, you use Collier. I'm not 100% certain he's a must. I'm very certain that Kyle Filipowski is not. He might be later on in the season, but he played 21 minutes. And I guess the question that you're going to have is, what do I do with Ace Bailey? Because he stunk. And you're right. He was terrible here. But he fouled out in 10 minutes, right? That's just not a real thing that happens moving forward. He had 5 points. He had nothing else. Now, I wouldn't say that Ace Bailey as a starter has been a huge success. He's had some good moments, but he hasn't dominated. He's done the sort of things that we thought he would. Have some scoring games and lack in other areas. I will hold through to Thanksgiving. This is obviously dreadful, but there's a very clear explanation for it. And with him in that sort of trouble, Collier played more, and we had 28 minutes of Bryce Sensabaugh, who had 16 and 6 with 4 threes. We can go on now and I think do the lines of the night. Yep, let's go do the monster. All right, so the monstrous line of the night goes to Jimmy Harden. Harden was fantastic. Lauri was up there, but 37, 7, and 8 for James. Your waiver wire line of the night. We're going for guys that are under 40% rostered on Basketball Monster, so Moses Moody does not count. But Tyrese Martin does. 20 points, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. Hard to feel any level of trust in it, but it was good. Keyshawn George is your young gun of the night, who was awesome in this one while Sarr struggled and Bilal was back. It's always good to see George put up a good game when Bilal is playing. 29-6 with 5 assists. And your dud of the night, we got to go to the Basmati man in Phoenix. Royce O'Neal shot 11%. He had 3 points. He had 1 assist. He had 6 rebounds. Not the best night from Royce. What we can do now, though, is I know that you guys like this for some reason. Why don't we check in and see how my leagues went today? We'll start with 30 deep, and I had a matchup against Matt Smith this week, and he beat me 5-4. Matt, got me by 2 blocks and 4 threes. And I beat him by 4 steals and 5 turnovers. Pretty close matchup, so Matt gets me. But we have 2 matchups in 30 deep, so Matt beat me 5-4. I was up against Andre Snellings from ESPN, and I beat him in the other matchup 5-4. So an even split across the week. Look at my Yahoo League. I was up against Dan Titus in this one, and he beat me 5-4 as well. Dan, geez, some really close matchups. How close was this one? What did he end up knocking me off in that hurt me? Nothing was in. It ended up being particularly close. So good win from Dan there. Let's look at industry pickup. I don't know who was I against this week there. Hoop Wizard. Oh, another one that was close. 5-4. I beat Hoop Wizard in industry pickup. Let's look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Best Ball League. This one's a big league. It just takes a little bit of time to load to see what my results are here. Bad week. Lost both weeks in that one. Lost both matchups in that one. That's not good. What about the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl Points League, the Bart Simpson division? How did I go in this one? I've been going pretty well in this. I got it by 28 points. W and beat the league medians. That's a 2-0 result there. The Mo Sislak head-to-head 9 category league. I think my team's pretty strong in this one. We had a 4-5 loss and a 5-4 win. All right, so split that one, and then the Homer Simpson one, which my team is not very good in. So we'll see how that one ended up. You don't say that very often. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. But my 2 matchups were both 4-4-1. Ties in both matchups is not something that you see all that often, and you won't be seeing any more of this show because that's it for the day. A long recap with long, drawn-out games that was awesome to watch, timeouts and free throw shooting. I absolutely love it. Hit the thumb up on the video. Have we hit the 91K subscribers? Don't know. We'll find out at the end of the show. Or I'll find out after the show airs. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.